There are some very unique and quirky games that were released during the PlayStation and 32-bit era of consoles, many of which try to come up with different types of concepts to try and stand out and just to solidify the various ideas that developers were thinking about at the time. While some of them were well received, some of them were kind of left overlooked in many ways, but it was still a unique time to experience many of these concepts that in many cases would later go on to be used in other game projects further down the line. And Trash It is one of those unusual concepts that acts as an action puzzle platformer game that was developed by Rage Software and published by GT Interactive in 1997. It got releases on both the Windows PC, MS-DOS platform along with the PlayStation and Sega Saturn. It sees you playing as a group of construction workers that have their own different attributes, where some of them can run around using hammers while others use like jackhammers, and even to a point that they can use hoovers to tidy up and to remove certain items or elements. The whole idea is that with each level you have to get to an end point where you have to hit like a bell, and in order to get that you end up having to destroy or clean up many of the environmental elements and even solve puzzles along the way, as every hazard within the level contributes to you reaching the end goal. So you have to make sure that you work within the time limits in order to complete the objectives necessary, because in some missions it isn't just a case of getting to the end point, you always usually have something else to do along the way. But one of the unique attributes with this game is that it gives you access to different modes, both a quest mode or campaign mode, and then you have access to different battle modes, or even playing cooperatively, that you can play up to between 2 and 4 players, which makes use of the PlayStation's 4-player multi-tap accessory. So it gives that unique dynamic and does provide some fun for those looking to play amongst a group of friends. But aside from those obscure and unique attributes, the game did receive poor reception within the magazines, slating the game for its slow pace and bad design and even tedious elements. While the graphics don't present really anything new, they were different for their time. Everything felt like as if it was developed in 3D, but it was played from a 2D perspective, almost like a pseudo 3D type of environment. It's definitely unusual. There's nothing else like it on the PlayStation in that respect and what it's trying to do. And even though the magazines and the reviews probably don't do the game justice, it definitely has some unique traits that you really won't get anywhere else. Even going back to my first experience with the game, I played it originally on a demo that a friend of mine had, and for the time we really enjoyed it because you could play it with 2 players, and we were lucky enough that he had a second controller, so we were trying to figure out how to get through some of the levels. I think there was like 2 or 3 levels on that demo disc, and yes, some of them were timed and it took quite a few tries to get familiar with, but we actually had quite a blast playing it, and it was just fun. It was quite addictive for its time. But yes, when we look back, it definitely hasn't really stood the test of time as much as we probably would expect, but it's just a reflection of an unusual time for video games, a time when experimentation was literally the highlight reel of all of these processes. We were experiencing so many transitions with new ideas, unusual ideas that were brought to the forefront. Some of them succeeded, some of them barely got it over the line, while others just kind of just fell by the wayside and were often left overlooked. But they all do offer something different, and there's always something really cool about many of these games that you don't get in other titles. So for that reason alone, they are worth a look. It's not the best game on the system, it's far from it, but it does offer something different. There's not many games out there that is like it, in fairness. Just it won't be for everybody, but it does present a decent multiplayer experience. You will have a lot of fun with it in short bursts. But aside from those gripes and unusual traits with the game, there is a lot of puzzle solving elements in it, and that's another thing that will keep you going. And if that's something you're into, then there's no harm in giving it a try. It's good to go back and experience all these games because they do present something that you just genuinely won't get anywhere else. And for those reasons alone, give it a go and see what you think. But I would love to know your thoughts of Trash It for the PlayStation, and what do you think of it overall yourself? Is it a game that you've played back in the day, or do you like these quirky and obscure and unusual games that were released back then? So be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be updated of future content. And if you would like to see more videos around other unique and quirky style games that were released like this also on the PlayStation, then you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.